You're live. We are live. Good
All
evening,
right.
everybody. How you doing? It's wee Paddy from across the shuck, and across the other shuck times two is Joe from MesserHQ, who's in Germany, and
How's it
he's
going,
very welcome on.
guys?
This is a first. This is Paddy's talk time with whoever's here. So I'm going to maybe do this occasionally, maybe once a month. Pick somebody, or if it's liked, we'll do it more often. I'm quite happy to do it. So who have we got in? Let's see. We got Sean. You're very welcome, Sean. We got Thrifty Kniffy. We got Baldy's Blades. I still can't get over that name. Covered in Bees. You're very welcome. And Marco and Kathleen Smith is in here. Let me see. I think that's as far as I've got. Yes. Anyway, we'll get back and I'll give somebody a few shout outs. MBEDC, you're very welcome. So Joe rang me up and said, "You fancy doing a wee chat?" And I thought, yeah, go on then. We'll have a wee chat. Sometimes I just like a one-on-one chat, and I've lost Joe. He's disappeared on me. Anyway, I'll talk on. Um, yes, sometimes I just like a wee chat. We'll get him back up again. He's come to another page. There we go.
Sorry about that.
I'll have to take this one off. There you go. Let's get this one. How do I get this off? I don't know how to get that one off. How do I get that off, Joe?
Um,
No
I'm not.
idea.
I'm not
You
sure.
can,
Can I leave, or should I leave
you,
altogether and come back
I
in?
think
Or
you left and came back on a different one. I think that's what stumped me. Let me see if I can do this. Let me just
oh,
try
there we
here.
go. Yeah, sorry about that. I was
Oh,
trying to figure out the chat.
right.
I don't have a laptop. I really need to get one. I do all these shows on my phone, and I can't
Uh-huh.
figure out how to get the chat to go. So if there's a comment for me, maybe Patty can post it up for me.
Yeah.
May-
if
may-
you want,
Maybe not.
if you want to see somebody doing this for a half an hour,
Yeah.
there's Griff is in. Griff, I'm actually going to talk about you later on, Griff. So nice to see you in here because Joe likes slips, and I thought I would show him one of yours because I still think they're absolutely fantastic. And if you haven't bought one, go see Griff now. Give him a wee message and say I want one of your slips. Now again, what we're doing, Joe rang me up and says, "You fancy a wee chat?" And yeah, I mean, I like a wee chat, a one-to-one, especially on pocket knives. That would be my chat. I don't have the knives to do a modern knife chat, so I love pocket knives. And I know Joe has a bit of both, so do I. But we do like our pocket knives. That's the ones we use the most and carry the most. And it's just a wee chat. So we were trying to get about a subject, and we simply thought, I'll do five UK knives, you do five Germany, and it just gives us a start in a conversation. I picked sort of different ones, I think so has Joe. But I mean, if you're if you're in the audience and you just want to ask a question about anything, it doesn't have to be about what we're showing. Between me and Joe, we can tell you as many lies as you like until you're happy. That seems to be the way to do it. Right, Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here.
Well, hello. Yeah, some of you guys might know me. I have a YouTube channel. I've been doing this a little while now, since 2014. Took a little bit of a break. Slowly trying to come back on. I've been making a couple videos, so if you haven't checked them out, definitely head over to my channel. There is some new content out that you can see. But yeah, me and Patty. It's weird for me to call him Patty. His name's Steven. But uh,
Just
uh,
whatever you like.
me and Patty have been friends for a while now, and we've talked back and forth about doing a show together
Uh-huh.
a couple times, and for whatever reason, it's just hasn't worked out until today. And I'm really happy that it has.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's going to be a fun topic. Patty really sparked my interest in English cutlery with the little package that he sent me, so I'm really excited to see what he's going to show. Um, I was a little nervous when he asked me if I had five German pocket knives to show, because I wasn't sure. Um, I actually have a lot of German pocket knives, but I collect a lot of the same German pocket knives. I collect three or four patterns, and I had to really think if I had five different German knives, but I think I'm going to make it work. There's going to be at least one repeat, if not two. But I'll show you a different knife, and it'll have a different story going
Yeah.
along with it all together. But I'm happy to be here, and I hope it's an enjoyable show.
Well, yeah, you're very, very welcome. And for anybody, that's Joe's name up there, MesserHQ. If you go on to YouTube, type that in, his channel will come straight up. He has a lot of videos on there. And I say, it must be about 6 years we've been back and forth, off and on over the years. 6, 7 years even, because you were around before me. I've been around about 7 odd years now.
When I met Paddy, he was talking about gonzo knives. He was just talking about gonzo knives. That's when I met Paddy. That's how long I've known Paddy.
Yeah, that was it. And I've still got some of them, Joe, because they're just good. I think I've about 4 or 5.
As well.
Yeah, about 4 or 5, and I still use them. They're my beaters. But it's funny because when you first start, I mean, I had no idea that I was going to change in the direction that I've gone. Because as a child, I grew up with slip joints. When I started on YouTube, I found out that you could buy locking knives in the UK because you don't see them in shops until somebody tells you a website, which I'm not very good at. I didn't know computers at all. So it was a real jolt just to get these locking knives in my hand. And I had stacks of them. The companies were sending them to you. I mean, but I'd stacks of them, and yet I hardly ever took one out. So certainly must have been about 3, maybe 4 years ago, I started buying more pocket knives again, getting back to my old roots when I grew up. And it has been just a wild, fast run from, a budget pocket knife to now, I've got my customs that I absolutely adore, which I never thought I'd get to. I never thought I'd want to spend that much money on a knife. Was money a factor when you started, or was money not the object? It was more the knife, or were you excited by
when I started? Money was a huge factor. I started with flea market knives. I mean, I would go every couple months and get a new flea market knife for $5 or $10 after the old one broke. The first I guess modern knife that I bought that cost any kind of money was my Spyderco Endura. It was blue and VG10. I bought that about 10 years ago, and I could not believe at the time that I was going to spend $65 on a pocket knife. I mean, it sounded like crazy talk. And fast forward to today, I've owned and currently own knives in the $1,000 range, and so it's kind of like it started off. It was a big issue for me. It was a big hindrance for me because I didn't make a lot of money, so there was a lot of stuff that I liked that I just couldn't, afford. And you save up and you trade and you end up hunting these things down. But you evolve, and then once you start getting these better quality things, it's really harder to go back to the budget line because you've got a taste of the precision, of the action, of the finer blade steels, and stuff like that. And it's hard to go, from a Chris Reeves back to a budget D2 beater with plastic handles and get excited about it. My direction, unfortunately, all the knives that I tend to like nowadays tend to be a little bit more expensive.
But it's not like, I think that's the thing that I find when I talk to a lot of people, especially YouTubers. Most of us back in the day, a bit, just a wee bit long, a few years ago, most people started off small and budget and then moved their way up over the years. I've watched them move up. But the young lads coming in now are coming in buying a £500 knife in the second day. Do you know what I'm going? Whoa, you've missed a whole lot here. Because I think there's a benefit.
I would argue that when we started, weren't as influenced as much by, Instagram and TikTok and stuff. I mean, now it's just flashing in your face. This is the good stuff. This is what you need. All the other stuff is crap. And the people want to go straight to the good stuff now. Back when we started, it wasn't such a big thing. We had to try stuff out to figure out what the good stuff was, or, watch videos or whatever. But I think now it's just people have short patience spans. Is that a word? They don't have a lot of patience, and they just want the really good stuff instantly.
But it's funny. I think you're actually missing out by doing that, because you're missing out a whole process of different knives, how they're made, what they're made of. And it's a journey that I think, being a knife person, it's a nice journey to be on, first of all. And then you sort of get to appreciate, as you say, it is very hard. And especially being a YouTuber, I don't buy a lot of the very cheap knives anymore. I just don't, because I have enough here that if I need to bring them out, I can bring them out. But they're not something that I'm going to carry. I'm not going to carry a Ganzo when I've got a hinderer there. I mean, what's the point? I agree with that sort of thought process.
Yeah, and the other side of like my collecting is, it's kind of like a self-contained economy. If I want something, it means something has to go. I can have whatever knife I want. I just have to go there and make some really hard decisions. But yeah, going back to it, you don't carry these cheaper knives once you start getting the more expensive stuff. And from a collector standpoint, the cheaper budget stuff, there's just no resale value in it.
No.
So with my collection, if I need to finance bigger purchases, I need to, have better quality knives to sell. That's
Yeah.
kind of my thought process on my
Yeah,
collection.
I agree with you. Until I learned how to trade and a reason for trading. Once I got that reason when I wanted more expensive knives, trading changed my collecting completely. And like you say, I don't buy the budget anymore. I'll go the 100 to 200. I'll buy them because they're easy to resell, and you can trade them on and put a two or three of them together to buy one. I've still got enough left to do that, but that's been coming down. The more expensive knives that I'm buying, these middle range ones, I've traded so many of them off now that it's back to saving again for what I want.
Yeah, and a lot of it nowadays, a lot of it's marketing, a lot of it's hype. Just 10 years ago, there were maybe just a handful of really good budget knives that a reviewer could name off, and now there's hundreds.
Oh,
And they come out new every week. There's a new
yeah,
new flipper, new whatever, and it's just overwhelming.
yeah,
And they all typically have very similar blade steels, and for me, it's just not interesting.
no.
It's boring to
Mhm.
me. And I wish the companies would stop just trying to push out the next $50 knife and really focus on making just better cutlery.
I sadly believe, once you get into the minority of the more expensive knives, which is a minority, I suppose, of the whole, um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's where you need to stay because I do believe that the companies are doing it. It's purely a financial reason. They see a shape that everybody likes, and then six companies will make a knife that looks very, very similar. Whereas
Yeah.
before, when a Ganzo, oh, that's bloody terrible. That looks just like that. You're ripping people off. I used to get so much shit for getting Ganzos on the channel. It was horrendous.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
didn't bother me at all, mind you. But yeah. So is there anybody out there changing over? And I must say, Covered in Bees just put up the Judd's in and he's going to sabotage the show. My wee friend wouldn't do that. Judd, hello, you're very welcome. The good-looking better half of our double. It's nice to see you in. And Kathleen's in. The definition of budget night is not clear. What is a budget night? Absolutely, Kathleen. You cannot put a figure on budget. It's impossible. And that's why it's really hard as a YouTuber. You have to set what your budget is, and then people have to work around that because I can't guess what everybody's budget is. So budget to me now is probably under 75. And then from 75 to 200 is medium range. And then 200 and above is the high range. But I mean, that above can go way, way beyond.
Yeah.
Literally just got a 900-pound knife. So, I mean, they can go, and Joe was like saying over 1,000. I mean, you just go on.
Well, one thing
I'll
I've
not,
really noticed, I'm sorry to cut you off, but one thing
you
I've
know,
really noticed in the past couple of years is just the price of just a 50 euro knife just a few years ago is now a 75 euro knife. I mean,
yeah,
it's just across the board. Um, I, the last show I was at, it was a show in Munich. It was the German Daily Carry Convention. Really cool show, just 10 minutes from my house, actually. But I
uh-huh,
was just blown away. I couldn't afford anything there. I
no,
mean, I walked in there. I had a couple $100 in my pocket, thinking if I see something I like,
yeah,
maybe I'll pick something up. I ended up getting some leather, but I couldn't afford a knife because I mean, they
mhm,
start at 300. I mean,
yeah,
that's baseline, and then it goes up from there. Lots of custom stuff, and yeah, I mean, just so budget is really hard to define. I would always say previously, I'd say within the last 5 years ago, $50 is a budget knife for me, but that $50 knife is now
yeah,
75 to $100 knife.
yeah. I mean, I used to start at 30. When I first started, 30 was below 30 was a budget. From 30 to 100 was the medium range. And then 100 up was the expensive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you got a good knife for 200 quid then. You'd have got a top of the range knife for 200 quid.
Yeah, good blades still get everything.
Yeah. And again, that's another thing. I mean, once the blade steel started coming into it, and companies are great at exploiting people. You say this is a great blade steel, and everybody else joins and says, yes, this is a great blade steel. The price goes up. It's just natural, you know. Well, that's the economy we want, but I mean, it does hurt.
Yeah, and a lot of people with this fancy super steel, it's debatable as to whether they actually need that steel or not. Me and Steven were talking before the show about how, you know, I use slip joints at work, not necessarily because they're better than a modern. It's more because a modern would scare my coworkers, and I just tend to keep it small. But, you know, I get through quite a bit of cardboard, plastic straps, tape, stuff like that. I mean, I do a lot of cutting, and I was just wondering, some of these modern knives, I mean, the stock is so thick. I just don't know what profession or what you would do with that knife that would require such a thick spine. When I think you could do 90% of all cutting tasks with a slip joint with the proper technique.
It's funny, and we were talking before what you were carrying today. So go ahead, show us what you were carrying today as a knife, then, just so we see what we're talking about here.
Because so I got a Wii. What is this? This is a Wii 611.
That's the brass colored in it.
Yeah, bronze titanium.
Bronze, yeah. Sorry, yeah, beautiful.
Got this one from Dutch Knife Guy.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I just think it's very thick and overbuilt.
Yeah.
And maybe someone in the comments could tell me what profession would you go to work and use a knife like this repeatedly over and over again throughout the course of the day?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that you couldn't use just a good beefy slip joint for.
Uh-huh. I can't think of anybody, unless it's somebody maybe that working in a forestry situation. But again, why would you want it so thick? You've got a fixed blade for all that if you're out in the woods. You wouldn't want a pen knife. No, I can't think.
So I do. I mean, I have nothing against modern folders. I have lots of modern folders, but I tend to think that modern folders are pretty overbuilt recently.
I mean, I've gone even worse today. You nearly think I thought I'd done this on purpose. I can't get this out of my pocket a minute. This is the GEC pocket carver in rotten banana bone. Beautiful little knife, but they're tiny blades. But it does me for everything I've needed the last few days. Absolutely. I haven't needed anything else. I haven't had to go back and get another knife to cut a cardboard box. This does it. Do you know what I mean? The blade's only, what is that main blade? The main blade, the cutting edge of the main blade is 1 3/4 inches for the main blade. So you can imagine how small this one is. But it is just does me.
Yeah. Those are awesome covers. I used to have the 86, the bullet end jack with the rotten banana bone cover.
Yeah.
I love that knife.
It's funny.
I regret trading that one.
I was a bit disappointed that there wasn't much yellow in this, but I actually love the green the way it is. It's like an unripened banana nearly. It really is beautiful.
Yeah, mine was done really well. I liked mine a lot. Shouldn't have traded.
No.
All right, so we're going to show a knife, or
go on, show a knife. Yes, show a knife.
So I'll show a knife. If you guys follow my channel, you guys have probably seen it before. It's probably my favorite German knife, or at least most carried German knife, and that's my 3-rivet.
That's it.
This one's from Otter Messer. A couple German companies make it. Otter makes a 3-rivet. Robert Klaas currently makes a 2-rivet. Messer, up until a couple years ago, was making a 3-rivet, but they are now defunct.
Joe, which company would you buy your 3-rivet from? Which one do you think is the best of the lot? Is it Otter?
I have the Otter, and I would recommend the Otter. I also have the Robert Klaas. I could show it to you. The Robert Klaas is a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner, so it's actually in what you're looking for. Let me show this knife, and then I can show. Here's the Robert Klaas. The Robert Klaas is a 2-rivet. variety. So you have
Right.
the three-rivet and the two-rivet, and these are the only two companies that I know of,
Right.
German companies that are currently making a three-rivet knife. Historically, lots of German cutlers have made three-rivet knives. I find these all the time at antique stores, at flea markets. It's where most of my collection has come from. So I got this one. I bought this one at a shop in downtown Munich in Marienplatz. It's unfortunately closed down. It's called Bibel or Besteck Bibel. I'm not sure. There were two shops, both owned by the Bibel family. They both closed down. But I can remember walking by the window and just looking at this knife over and over and over again until I finally went in and bought it. And the cool thing about this knife is Otter gives you some options. This one is in African blackwood with brass three rivets. The three rivets are brass. And these are only on one side. They're
That's
just
funny. I
decorative.
just seen that in the comments. I didn't even know that.
Someone asked? I'm sorry?
Somebody asked it in the comments. He wished they had to put the rivets on both sides.
No, they're only on one side. They're just decorative. It's not really known why or the thought process behind the pattern. There's not a lot of information out there on this pattern. I got this knife at the knife shop, came home, liked it. I made a video on it, tried to research it. There were some German videos on it. There weren't any English videos on it, so I made a video on it. Tried to do some research, tried to find some information. The Otter website is blank. There's no historic information. The Robert Class website is blank. There's no information. There's nothing on the web forums, just blank. I couldn't find anything on the historic information on the three-rivet knife. So I personally made a post on the German knife forum, messerforum.net, and we had a little discussion there. The experts there did help me. We found some old catalog entries, and we were able to kind of piece together the history of the three-rivet knife. Goes back over 100 years
Right.
in Germany. This pattern, how we know it, with this swell end handle, about a 4-inch handle, and the spear point blade, really came into being around 1920. Not exact date, I would say the 1920s. Lots of German companies were making them. We have lots of catalog entries, pictures, stuff like that. By World War II, pretty much every big German manufacturer were making some form of rivet knives. Friedrich Herder was one of them. Otter was one of them. Hartkopf and Co. Was another big one. Linder, lots and lots of German companies were making the three-rivet knife. So we were able to find a little bit of the history, but I think it's just one of the coolest, most classic German knives that you can find. When you can get this in carbon steel, you can get it in stainless steel. This one has African blackwood with brass. You can also get it in smoked oak with steel. The African blackwood, unfortunately, is there's something with the Endangered Species Act with the wood. They can't ship it out of Germany. I don't know if you can get them in the UK, but the Americans can only get the smoked oak.
Even rosewood now is
steel.
becoming endangered.
Yeah. So yeah, I really like this knife. It's just a good worker. I would say it's a big enough handle. My full hand fits on it. It's a long enough blade for food prep. It's a slicey enough blade for slicing task. It's a sturdy enough blade for bigger jobs. It's really just an all-arounder. These knives were marketed to workers, to farmers, and to soldiers. That's who they were trying to sell these knives. They were saying, this is the knife that's going to do everything you needed to do. So this is one of them. I'm going to show another one before the night's over.
What size is the blade on that, Robert? Is it legal for UK? I think they're bigger, aren't they?
Let's see. I should have taken some notes.
There's something tells me they're not UK legal, which is the only reason why I wouldn't have
I think it's
one.
over. What is the limit? 3 inches? I think it's over 3
3
inches.
inches cutting edge at the moment.
I just have a centimeter ruler. It's 8 centimeters. If someone could.
So it's over the 3. It's over the 3 inches then. So sadly, it wouldn't be legal to carry here, which is probably the only thing that goes against that knife, because it's a lovely big knife. It's like a granddaddy Barlow. Do you know what I mean? It is just a big knife.
Yeah, and you can see the bolster. I always really
Yeah.
liked the bolster on this. I always called it a double ground
Uh,
bolster. There is a name for this in German. It's called Kullen,
uh,
Kullen, the Kullenschliff. It basically means hollowing out.
right.
And so there's even a knife from Robert Klass called the dry Kullen Messer, the three Kullen Messer, and the bolster is
Right.
just three of these
Uh-huh.
loops. So I'll show you the class, but one last thing with the Otter, which I will give the nod over the class, is one thing I really enjoy about the Otter is the thickness of the handle. So if your goal is to have a work knife, you're going to want a thicker
Yeah,
handle in your hand. If
definitely.
you're working all day with a real thin handle, that's going to wear you raw. And it's really nice to have a good thick handle. So the Otter one really doesn't disappoint in the thick handle. Here is the Robert Klass. This is a vintage Robert Klass, but it's on the same frame as the newer one. So this, you can see it only has 2 rivets. It's a thinner, I would say
Uh-huh.
more pocket-friendly knife. So
Yeah.
if your aim is EDC, maybe the Robert Klass is a better option. This one's a little bit smaller, but it's minuscule. This one's 4-inch handle. The other one's 4.2, I think. I don't know, but very very similar in size. Just the main thing is the thickness. So yeah, that's the first German knife that I will talk about. The 3-rivet.
Yeah, really nice pick, I have to say. Lovely pick. Again, it's a knife I've seen for years, and there was something I knew there was something in my head about it being just over the legal limit. Again, I keep saying this. I'm a bit older. The chances of me getting stopped and searched, I'd have to have a really bad day before that's going to happen. But
Yeah.
uh, the younger people, it just there's not even worth their risk. You know what I mean? If it's slightly near the edge, they'll lose the blooming thing. It's gone. And I'm sure
Yeah.
they're not cheap. I don't think they're very expensive, but I'm sure they're not, not throwaway cheap.
I honestly don't know current price on them. I think I paid around 55, 60 for it.
Yeah,
So that probably means they're around 85, 90
yeah,
currently.
yeah.
That's
Right.
just how
I'm
it
going.
is. They are really good quality. They're
Yeah,
handmade, and I pointed out in my video. This is the same knife that I've had since the video. It's the only Otter 3-rivet
yeah,
that I have. The blade is getting nice and patinaed. I keep this really really sharp. It's just has been a really great knife for me. It is high quality. It is handmade, and I said as much
yeah,
in my video. There are some spots on it. You can look at it. You can tell a guy sat there on a grinder
yeah.
and made there. And there might be some small imperfections on an Otter knife, as well as some of the English knives that Patty's going to show you. But
Yeah.
that is what makes a handmade knife special, if you
Uh-huh.
ask me.
Yeah, it's funny because we were talking about prices earlier on, and I have a real appreciation of handmade knives, whether they're in the high end bracket or even the low end, like the British knives that are really popular at the minute. Um, I can let things go because I know they're handmade, and things like small things like a wee gap wouldn't bother me. Whereas I was paying £200 for a knife, that would bother me. So when you're paying a reasonable price for a handmade knife made in traditional ways, I can let things go. But I'm going to start off with an absolutely beautiful knife, British made knife. This is a George Wolstenholme, and this is one that Joe kindly sent me. There's a batch of 3 of these, and
Cool.
let me get it up right so I can show it to you. This is the office knife. I love an office knife. I had an office knife, and Joe must have seen it. And I'd always said that I'm looking for more, but they're like hen's teeth now trying to get them. And he sent me 3 of the blooming things. It was an amazing unboxing. I was so excited. And I love this, a 2-bladed penknife. And if anybody knows me, I love a penknife. It's just such a usable knife, a really usable knife for somebody like me. I've got 2 blades. If one goes dull, I don't have to rush home and sharpen it or get a piece of strop out. I can just change the other blade. And I mean, that's what I will tend to do. When I start at the beginning of a day, if I use one side of the blade, I'll use that till it goes blunt. I'll leave the other one as sharp as it possibly can be for emergencies. But I mean, very few days I've had to blunt a knife, even a pen knife like this. But I just think I love The calligraphy on it is just amazing. And all three that he sent me were different ones of the same variant, but different writing on them. And it just, it was, can't tell you how excited I was. I really just love this. And these are just in my collection for these are my knives to take out at home and just sit and fiddle with. I just sit and stroke them. I love them. I love them.
Yeah, I'm so happy you like those. I saw your video when you filled in your office knife with a pen.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, man, I have this gem just sitting there. And I always liked the office knife. The office knife was a knife that was really hard for me to collect in Germany because I just never saw an office knife for sale. I had the Wostenholm. Friend of mine, BDH, sent me the other one. You got it. Felt a little bit bad about sending you a gift I got, but I got a couple other knives that I got from BDH. Can you keep on using them? And I wanted you to have the set, and the Schleiper one was really cool because I never knew that Schleiper made an office knife.
Like this one.
And it's a brown color.
Yeah, I've got it.
Like a yellowish brown.
Can't remember where I've got it. It's in here somewhere. I'm so
and
well
also, I didn't know that the Wostenholm that I sent you, I didn't know that was a left-handed knife until I saw your video because it's the only one I had, and I just thought, it's just a quirky way that they made them.
And it was just something I sort of noticed by accident. It wasn't something I was planning to notice. But I have this thing. You see, especially if I really like a knife, I sit and have an in-depth look at them. I really do, down to the minutiae. There's the one you're talking about, the Sleipner one. Yeah. Never, ever heard of one before. Never seen one. And even if you go on YouTube, there's so few videos in it. This was the original one I had. And the black had worn away. And I took out a Sharpie and put it in and redone it about 3 times after it was dry properly. And it's never moved since. I can rub my hand up and down. It never come off. But it really lifted the knife. So, I mean, I'm just spoiled for choice. And I can't thank you enough. It was just a joy of a day to get them. Really, really enjoy them.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad you liked them. And I was really happy with the knives that you sent me as well. And if you guys don't know about the knives that Paddy sent me, I liked them so much I made 2 videos on them, so you guys can go check them out. One's in a group with some other knives, but one's got its own showcase. So thank you very much for that trade. It was a great trade.
It was
I mean, a gift.
It wasn't even a trade. You sent me a gift that was just beyond a gift. It was just beautiful. So that's my first one. Give us a go yourself. Sorry, I'm not looking. You know what I'm like about this blooming. I never follow it. What's Judd said? Yeah, Xing Chan, who's a UK knife maker. He's been making knives, custom knives, for about 15 years. He's on the podcast with me and Judd on Thursday. Really looking forward to that. I've got his knife at the end here to show it off and sort of highlight it. I'm trying to think. I'm too light heavy work and too heavy for light. Tony's Pony says, I'm too light for heavy work and too heavy for light work. Too light for heavy work and too heavy for light. Yeah, bless him. So if you miss a question or I don't answer it, just keep putting it on. Don't worry, you'll not get told not to keep repeating this because I'm so bad at talking to somebody and reading in here. Any questions anybody got about knives, please ask. I'm from Spain. I've always been a MesserHQ fan. Paul, you and many, many others. That's Paul Joseph Bugie from Spain. And he's been around a long while. I know I've had him on my videos for a while, long while. Yeah, I mean, Joe, if I can tell you a story about Joe, if you've never watched his channel, Joe has the most commanding voice when he's telling you a story about a knife, and he invariably tells you the proper story on the knife. It is so soothing. I can just sit and watch, and always have been able to just sit and watch. It's the sort of person I could watch a half an hour to an hour and would give it no second thought, because he doesn't stop. He just gives you the information you want, but he does it in such a way. I don't know, that it's his own thing, and I really love watching him. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Go over and show him, and let's get his feed noticed again, because once it comes back on again, all his old followers will jump on. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Yeah, well,
I
I
mean, it was,
appreciate that. I appreciate that, Stephen. I've also been a fan of yours for the past years, and it's really great to see the knives that you started collecting versus the knives that you have in your collection now, and
yeah.
it's been really fun watching that transition.
Sadly,
Um,
my production and history has never been a strong point. I'm more of a happy smiley. I got another new knife, and it hasn't changed in 7 years. But hey, that's the whole joy of it. It's very cool that you guys gift knives back and forth. Kathleen, it's just lovely. I heard the other night that you actually, what knife did you, Kathleen? You won one in a draw. Or you were gifted a really high end knife. Was it Jack Wolf? Somebody gave you a Jack Wolf. That just is amazing when people in the community can do that sort of thing. It's fantastic. And I think the longer you stay about, you'll meet more and more nice people that you can. And it usually ends one gives one, then you give back, and then another. It starts off a little run usually of giving away, and that's the whole joy of it. You know,
and it
you
always
don't.
starts off, it's like, Patty, I'm going to send you these, and please don't send anything back. And then
Yeah,
it's like, oh, that's not going to work, Joe. What's your address?
but it's lovely. It really is, and I think that especially when I first started. I mean, for the first lot of years, I done a lot of giveaways and things like that. Because it's to get your numbers up and it's to get you're trying to do it for a different reason. But once you lose that sort of enthusiasm for doing a giveaway every couple of months, just giving away to friends is the nice part. Just giving away to friends is the nice part. And an awful lot of the time, the friends that you're giving away to is maybe somebody you know in the comments doesn't have a YouTube channel, so it's never heard of, and that's even nicer because you're giving somebody you like and a friend. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I would always try to hide my giveaways and stuff because I always
Yeah,
wanted like just the people
yeah.
that I wanted to win it.
Uh-huh. But there's certain, especially because I looked up to your channel when it came around because it was one of the channels that I enjoyed immensely, and I started following you. I think from even before I was on YouTube, but I wouldn't have actually put my name up on a screen or anything then. I was completely just watching videos from people I liked. So yeah, I've been following you a long, long time.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of these people have probably seen some of the really old content I made, but I didn't
Uh-huh.
always talk about traditional knives. The very
No,
first
yeah,
YouTube video I ever made was on a San Remo, a real
uh-huh.
steel, and
Yeah,
yeah, I talked about Spyderco's. I had a buck knife really early on in the channel. That was one of the early traditionals I had.
and
But I did modern knives. I did budget knives. I was into like a lot early on, like the traditional European knives, because I really had a good time traveling around and buying these little quirky knives that are like
mhm,
regional knives that no
yeah,
one's ever heard of, but they were cool and they were typically only a few euro. They were never really
yeah,
expensive, 10 euro or something like that, and you could bring back all these knives. So I had like the Duke knife. I had several open L's. I mean, I had an
yeah,
open L collection. I mean, I had so many sizes plus the big one. I wanted to customize them, carve them and
yeah,
everything. That's kind of like where I got my start in slip joints. It was like through like the really cheap regional
yeah.
European knives.
The open L I used for cutting my food up when I was bushcrafting before I came into the YouTube community. When I used to do bushcrafting, the open L was my food knife. I ate my food with it. I cut my fruit with it. It was a fantastic little knife. I've still got them. Still got it. It must be nearly 20-year-old now, and it still works every bit as good.
It's a budget knife I have no problem recommending. You tell me
No,
you only have 20 bucks in your pocket, what knife you should buy?
it's
Open L is
funny.
probably
I've
going to be
been
on my
hearing an awful
list.
lot of people saying that their open L's have been coming blunt. And I have never had an open L that was blunt. They've all been razor sharp. And plus the fact it takes about a minute to sharpen them. Just
Yeah. Um, I find the carbon steel ones come pretty sharp. And if they don't,
yeah,
you just swipe them on a honing steel a couple times
yeah.
and it's
Just
like a laser.
right, give it yeah, go on, you give us another knife. I'd rather talk about yours. They've seen most of mine.
Okay, so I'm going to stick with the three rivets. So I'm going to show one more three rivet, and then I'll move off from the three rivets. So I
No
mentioned, I
problem.
bought this knife at a shop in Munich. I thought it was really cool. I came home, tried to find out as much as I could about the knife, and I found that there's just not a lot of information out there. So I started researching. I started going on the German um, web forums. The biggest one's messerforum.net. I know web forums are kind of going to the wayside, but it's kind of where I got my education. I used to spend lots of times on knife web forums. I still lurk around every now and then. But I made a post on this three-rivet, because I said someone's got to know something about it. And one on that post, I had posted a picture of a three-rivet that I had found on that forum, not on the thread that we were talking about, but just in general. And I've been searching for this knife pretty much ever since I saw it. And this is the advertisement here. And you can see it's a three-rivet knife. It's made by Friedrich Herder. And instead of having the rivets, just the dots, these are spades. They call them peaks.
Oh, wow.
And it's just here you can see it's a picture of a World War II soldier. I blocked out anything that I could get politically in trouble for.
Yeah.
But you can see he's holding a knife, and he's cutting a full loaf of bread with this three-rivet knife. And you can see up here, it says Soldat Bauer Arbeitsmann, and that's who it's for. It's for the soldier, it's for the farmer, it's for the worker. That's what this knife is for. It's kind of similar. I would compare it to the American sodbuster pattern.
Yeah.
It's just a good, big, strong, beefy work knife, and that's what it was marketed as. And ever since I saw this picture, I searched for this knife. I would attribute my entire three-rivet collection to me searching for this one knife. Every three-rivet I found from all these different German cutlers, it was all because I was searching for one particular knife, and I never found that knife. I came close. I found similar stuff to what I was looking for, but I could never find it. But just recently, guys, I found it. I found one.
Wow. No, this is one I see. Oh my goodness.
So if you'll see, there is no brass on this knife whatsoever. So that plays into the World War II story. And this is an important knife because, like I said, I've been searching for this knife pretty hysterically for a few years now. And this is the only physical example of this knife that I know that exists. So I started with the catalog and I hunted down the knife. And I'm hoping someone sees, this video. I hope there are pristine examples of this sitting in drawers somewhere. But I can tell you, I've been searching for years and years and years, and this is the only example I found. And I ended up picking up for €10.
Oh my goodness. Even on the story you told, I mean, that's a giveaway. That's just, what a fantastic piece. I would actually ring a museum and ask them if there's a museum that has sort of war artifacts or whatever, they might even be able to tell you.
It could be. I'm not sure if it's as rare as I think it is. It's just the fact that I seem to be the only one looking for it. And there's not there are a couple other guys on the German web forums that are keeping an eye out and stuff like that. But as far as I know, it's the only physical copy. As you can see, it's in rough shape. But the fact that it doesn't have any brass makes it really very special.
Yeah. I would have that in a rough plinth. Just stick it on the hearth on a nice bit of rough wood, driftwood or something, would look amazing.
My lighting is not.
I mean, there's still quite a lot of steel left. I know it's worn down, but there's still enough there to, it could still be used if you wanted to.
Yeah. So there is another version with two rivets, or two spades. I'm sorry. And this is a little bit more common. This is also ultra rare. I know another collector that has a few of these in much better condition than mine, and I've seen one other one on eBay. Other than the one that I have, and that's all that I've seen. This is brass. They're brass spades.
Flipping gorgeous.
Yeah.
Them handles are beautiful. What is that, oak or?
This is some kind of blackwood, ebony, or grenadille. The other one, I'm not sure. It's not a blackwood. I'm not a wood specialist.
Looks more rosewoody type.
Yeah. And this also isn't an exact match to the picture. The bolster's a little bit bigger. But I know these companies made different sizes. Robert Class, for example, makes a 4-inch, a 4 1/4, and I think even a 4.5-inch handle. So I do believe that this is a World War II era, slightly larger size than the one pictured in the advertisement. But
we just had a great question there. Elan has asked, would you recommend any local regional knives that is worth trying to collect?
Local is.
That's a
Are you
regional.
referring to German knives
Yes,
or like a Bavarian knife or?
yeah, it's regional knives to you in Germany that are worth looking for and trying to get.
Yeah, well, I would need a price range. As far as like really budget, I would go with the French. You know, you have the Opinels, the Dukes. As far as the German, you can check out the Mercators, the Black Cat, the K55K. They're made by Otter, and you can pick them up for under $30.
Uh-huh. Well, go up a price range. Go up to the £100-ish or somewhere slightly over or whatever.
Well,
If you
I would say the company making the best stuff in Germany currently, I would have to say is Boker. They're making the best fit and finish. They have the best equipment, stuff like that. The prices are also higher. Boker has some really expensive knives, but if price isn't an issue, I would say Boker's got some really nice stuff. But for around the €100 range, lots of knives from Otter, the three-rivet, the anchor knife, the three Cullen knife from Robert Klass that I mentioned. There's lots of traditional German knives that don't cost a whole lot of money.
yeah,
The ones I typically like, I'm going to show a Boker later. It's pushing
good.
the 250 euro mark. When I bought my three-rivet, I think it was, like I said, around $60. And for me at the time, that was a decent priced slip joint
Yeah,
for what I was getting. But I would stick with Otter. Robert Klass makes really nice knives. Boker makes really nice knives. Carl Schleper, unfortunately, I would have to say I have not had the best success with Carl Schleper knives.
Mm.
I won't say anything bad about them, but I also won't recommend them.
Mm.
But yeah, if something else pops in my mind, I will let you know. But those are the ones that are coming to my mind right off the bat.
Good answer. Good answer. I wholly agree with that. I need to get a Robert Klaus. I haven't got a Robert. I used to have, but I haven't got now. I bought a few Bokers recently, and they've been really exceptional quality. One of
Yeah,
my favorite knives to carry is the Boker club knife. I
yeah.
adore that knife.
And I was at a shop a couple months ago, a local shop, and I got a chance to handle one of the new Boker Barlows, and it had Damascus steel. It was high
Yeah,
end and it was fantastic. It was too expensive for me. I couldn't afford it, but it was a
yeah,
fantastic knife.
yeah. The ones they're doing with the Metloff Sherman tanks and things like that, and aircrafts now, they're
Yeah.
just an amazing quality. But the price, you've got to pay for them, and as of yet, they're not on my list.
Yeah, and I really like what Boker's doing with their cover materials, similar to the Arthur Wright spear point that you sent me with the
Yeah,
covers from the Royal Yacht Britannia. Boker
yeah.
makes Damascus out of old tanks, and
Uh-huh.
they buy castles for knife handles, and they make them out of beer barrels and wine barrels. And Boker does a really good job
Uh-huh.
with cover material, with fit and finish, and everything else. You just got to pay for
Very
it.
much so. No. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes, I'm afraid, once you like a nice one. Any other questions there? I've probably missed a whole. Let me see. No, haven't seen any at the minute. They're taking the mickey out of each other, which is very usual for my lot. They tend to talk a lot between each other. Um, yeah, no questions there yet. Anyway, well, look, I'm going to show one that people have seen on my channel, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But and it's get back to that thing, I love my expensive knives, but when I'm going to buy knives that are down at the lower end of the market, I tend to go for ones that are made, you know, by the companies like Joseph Rogers, like Arthur Wright and Sons. I'm buying local knives that are made, handmade knives. They don't cost a whole lot for their basic models. You can get them, for 30 quid, 40 quid, you can get a lovely knife. But this is one I got. You'll not be able to get one of these at the minute. This is from Beth, who is Ashley Harris's apprentice, and she's in her 5th year now. I'm not even sure, she might be just finishing her apprenticeship, but it's a 5-year apprenticeship. This is
Great
just
looking.
a stunning little knife, and I don't like a swayback, But I bought this because I know it was Beth's favorite knife. And when she made it, there was only a handful she made. And I think that was part of her journeyman. She had to make the six main panels, or not panels, patterns that Arthur Wright make. And this is one of them. And this is a little pruner. And it is beautiful. And that's her maker's mark. Probably not, you're not going to get to see it, but it's just her name, Beth, but it is in a beautiful font. And there's not many of these about. In fact, only two that I know of that's actually gone for money.
And she made the knife from start to finish?
Yep, from start to finish. All the six patterns she done, it was, again, she's in her 5th year. So, I mean, it's like the last bit of learning. I mean, she's probably been able to do this for a year, but this was the one she had to make, I think, for, her end of her apprenticeship. And it's honestly, it really is beautiful, the fit and finish on it. And it's got that usual Arthur Wright strong pull, which I love. I just love it. And this little knife,
I can attest to that Arthur Wright pull.
Yeah, it's lovely. I mean, I've got one in there that Judd bought me last Christmas, and it is a 9 3/4. It is, and it has bent my nails back and everything. I got repetitive strain injury the day after I got it, literally in my arm, all the veins and muscles in my arm, because I was trying to be the man and pulling it open, and I kept doing it for the whole day. You get a new knife, and I kept doing it. I woke up the next morning. I couldn't open my fingers, my muscles were up. It was such a strong pull, and I love it.
I was reaching to find my keys. Unfortunately, I don't have them on me, but I keep a blade pick on my keychain, because when I go to the flea markets and stuff, sometimes you get knives that are just like glued shut.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to be ripping that up.
This is the one that Judd bought me, and this is just a big beastie of a knife. A beautiful clip on that. I just think that's one
fantastic.
Of the sexiest.
And that is Ashley Harrison?
Yeah, that's a custom. Yeah. Can
you explain this to the people? Because I made the video on the Barlow that you sent me, and I learned that Ashley Harrison has recently, in the last few years, bought Arthur Wright and Son.
Well, him and his dad, yes.
Him and his dad. And looking at my knife and going back and watching several other videos on an Ashley or Arthur Wright Barlow in Rosewood, the one you sent me is finished much better. Like the blade has swedging. Looks like a lot more time was spent on the knife overall. Is this knife one of the newer ones? And is this the quality that is on all of the Arthur Wright knives?
Their quality level has come up a huge amount. They have got to the stage where they were very poor, but they have lifted the quality up. The father's, he runs the business sort of thing. Ashley's the floor manager. Ashley makes his customs in his own time. He works on the floor during the day, and he's making knives for the factory and helping to make, or he'll do the finishing touches maybe on them. But he's very much involved in the company business. The custom work is what he does on his own. He has a wee shop of his own at the side, and he practices new knives and does it all in there. Again, I got him to make me this. He's now making it as one of his custom choices. I love a spay blade, and I know there's a few in there that's going to go mad. Look at that for a spay blade.
Is that a single-bladed spay blade?
Single-bladed spay blade in the trapper pattern. No, I got him to make it. This was a custom I got. I asked him, would he do me one? And I said, I want a big fat spear point or spay blade. And actually, I completely trust, because I just tell him roughly what I want. I tell him what the material I want. He does all his customs in 01 tool steel. Absolutely love 01. But this is a full 4-finger grip, but this is a big trapper. Just under the 3-inch limit, but a perfect work knife. And for peanut butter, which I love, it's just look at the thickness of that. I mean, here's a spear point. This is a Rogers. I'll just go through that. Look at the difference. It is a big knife. This is a good size spear point. But
it's funny that you mentioned spreading peanut butter, because I think spreading is a task that we all do with our knives, probably more than a lot of other tasks, and we never talk about the spreadability of a knife. And I just made a video on the Otter Buchholz Messer. It has no tip. It's all just completely rounded. It's a sharpened butter knife. And I really enjoy using it. And I also have the GEC, I think it's a 73, the Scout, and it's got this jumbo spay blade,
Yeah,
and that's exactly what I use it for. I
yeah,
spread stuff on bread
yeah.
with that blade. It's brilliant.
If you go to the what do they call it, the famous Sheffield shop, Taylor's Eyewitness do, I think it's Taylor's Eyewitness, they do an actual butter knife with stag handle, beautiful stag handle with a big sort of metal end to it, and a beautiful big, it's not a spay, but it's, it's just a big thick butter knife, and it only cost, I don't know, it was about 50, 60 quid, but it lasts you a lifetime. That's what I use for my peanut butter in the house every day.
Yeah, like a typical spay blade that you would find on like a case large size trapper is not my jam.
No,
But the jumbo spay that you find on the 73 and on the Remington,
yeah,
jumbo trappers, and it's a fantastic blade.
yeah, super. So many people don't like it. I know there's a lot in here that don't like it.
Yeah.
But when are you going to show Griff's slips? Well, I'm going to let Joe do another knife first because I wanted to see his knife choices. I really want to try to, but I definitely will show them after this knife because Joe will enjoy seeing them anyway.
Okay. Well, I'll show a knife that I think you might appreciate because it's the anchor knife.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is probably one of the most classic, iconic German knives that
Yeah.
you're going to come across. It's arguably an English pattern, and I was talking to Paddy about this before. I've heard this before. People have told me that the anchor knife is actually an English pattern. I actually went out searching before this show, trying to find the documentation, and I could not. And I asked Paddy if he knew of a current English maker that makes an anchor knife, and neither one of us could think of anyone. And I can't even think of a historic English maker that has made an English or an anchor knife. So maybe someone in
Yeah.
the comments can help us out. But the Germans definitely claim the pattern as their own. Lots of companies have made this historically. Also goes back over 100 years. Currently, Otter makes it. They make the large version. This is the large full-size version. They also make a smaller version. And Robert Klaas also makes an anchor knife. Other than that, the French company Osabo makes one, and theirs is called the La London. So that
Right.
lends credence to the English
Oh, I have
heritage. I
never
actually
seen.
have. You've never seen it. I
I've
have it
never.
here.
Go ahead.
Sorry, this is the French one, and this is
Oh,
called
very
the
nice.
London.
Very nice.
So yeah, these are sailor knives. And I said Paddy might be interested in this because if you don't know this about Paddy, is Paddy used to be in the Royal Navy.
And the anchor was my rate. I was a leading hand, and that's what you wore in your sleeve. So it was a very, very. It was sort of one I had to have.
Yeah, and I don't know how historically. I mean, you are an actual sailor, so maybe you
Yeah.
could answer the question of if you used knives like this or a
No.
similar blade shape. Because what they say about this is that this is a rope knife. This
Yeah.
is for putting on a rope and hitting with a wooden mallet and making a nice clean cut in the rope without any fraying. And did you
Uh-huh.
ever do any work like that?
No, I wasn't a sailor, as in I wasn't doing the deck or anything like that. I started off as a weapons mechanic, and then I changed to naval policeman, which I was for about 8 years.
Okay.
But I actually have the modern knife here that the Navy use. Oh, here it is. Now, the sheath is still in there, but I'll just show you. This is the two knives that are issued now to sailors. This is the deckhand's knife. It's thin. It's used for scraping off paint. It's used for digging. And this is I believe, yeah, Joseph Rogers. Still issued today. This one I got. My grandson's in the Navy, and he managed to get me the two issued knives that they have. So you've got this one, and then that's the other one you get issued with the Marlin spike.
That's the one I've seen before. Is it
And then you
Maritech
have
or?
a super big sheep's foot. And again, that you would have put that on top of thick rope and give it a thump. It's a good substantial blade.
So
And
it's
you
the same kind of
also
a theory, the sheep's foot blade. And I know I watched your video that you did on your anchor knife, and maybe you can reiterate the story that you told on your video about the tip. Why there's no tip on the sailor's knife.
Well,
I've actually heard a different rendition than yours.
well, it was
What
said
I
that
Yeah, go ahead.
it was said that sailors would have had like even a small cutlass, but they would have had a bigger knife that they would have carried on for battles, you know, when they were fighting at sea.
Right.
Well, apparently one of the captains, um, there'd been a stabbing on the ship, and then somebody was said that they were going to get the captain, so he came on board and he told everybody to snap the end of their blades off. They snapped them off, and that's where you got that shape at the end of a blade. So everybody keeps saying it was because the ship rolling and you didn't have a point. If you slipped, you weren't going to stick it into yourself or somebody else. But the romantic thing is the captain broke the blade off, and all captains thought it was serious, you know, a better way to have the knife for his crew.
Right. Yeah. Those are the two stories I've heard. I've heard that it was to prevent a mutiny, and the second is when you're working on a ship and lurching back and forth. You don't want to be stabbing the person
I don't know
across
whether
from.
have you ever heard of what the Navy call the toilet? We call it the head. You're going to
Okay.
the heads.
Yeah.
Do you know the story of that?
No.
Quick story. On the olden days, there was no toilets, obviously, because they weren't even in houses, so there was none on ships. So what you'd done is you done your business, your pee and your poo in a bucket, then you took it up to the forward part of the ship and threw it out over the side. But before you threw it, you shouted heads, so that anybody who
Nice.
was standing along that side kept their head back because it was
Oh.
peeing coming down the side of the ship. That's why they were called the heads.
All right. Well, somehow I'm glad I didn't spend any time on a ship. Yeah. So the anchor knife. I mean, aside from sticking it on a piece of rope and whacking it with a wooden mallet, the blade shape lends itself to just lots of utility. I guess I could say pull cuts are its strong suit. Pressing this tip into something and pulling down, it's very good at. The tip is very good for carving.
Yeah.
Very easy to sharpen. You don't have any curve to worry about on the sharpen. Just a really good overall EDC style knife. It's a bit thick. It has to be for the type of work for rope cutting and stuff like that. But overall, one of my favorite blade shapes is the sheep's foot. The sheep's foot.
Yeah,
Otter does it a little
absolutely.
bit different than some sheep's foot. So I've seen this is almost Warncliffe esque. There's not a really big point at the hump, I guess you could say.
No, yeah,
But even on their going back to the spreading aspect, even on Otter's website, they mention as the feature. If you want to spread with this knife, you just flip it over
yeah,
and use this side. But one reason I really like this knife is, again, with Otter, they tend to give you a nice thick handle.
yeah.
And when you're working with this, I enjoy this handle. It's really thick, and also this lanyard is pretty historical with these. This is just for
Yeah.
have a little bit extra retention if you drop your knife. So this is the Otter anchor messer. This one's in stainless. Otter uses a 420 for their stainless and C75 for their carbon. Another one that I can show you is from Friedrich Herder. It's a vintage one. I think this one's from the 60s.
Oh my gosh, is that wood? That is gorgeous wood.
It's wood, and the thing I really like about this wood is just how thick it is. It's
Oh
it's a
yes,
chunker.
that
Not
explains
not
everything.
not the easiest in the pocket, but it's
Oh,
very comfortable in hand. And as a work knife, I think this would be very enjoyable
amazing.
to work with. So I've been
And
carrying this one around. But
just
yeah,
that wood,
yeah, I'm not sure what kind of wood this is.
gorgeous wood. That's what that is. Gorgeous wood.
Yeah, it's got a really nice patina to it. The blade was kind of rusty when I got it. This is a used knife. Like I
Yeah.
said, I think it's from the 60s. But I think the brass anchor really pops, and just one of the most classic German knives that I could think about to show you guys. I can show you the slip I made for it, my Otter. So they're
Beautiful.
yellow dye. She goes right down in. Lanyard hangs out. I put this in my pocket. The lanyard hangs out of my pocket. When I need my knife, I reach down, find my lanyard, pull the whole thing out, get my knife. So
Yeah, I have to say, Joe also sent me a slip, and it is I can't tell you how long I'd been looking for one of these slips in this color, and then Joe sent one out of the blue, unknowing that I was looking for one.
Yeah, yellow is a leather dye that I really enjoy working with. I can get
this is
big
like
range of colors.
an orangey yellow, and it just is an amazing slip. But I got it for, I mean, a lot of people know, I'm not going to go into the old sad story, but I collect knives that have sort of meaning, and I like having a knife that's got something special about it, you know, a date or something. And I wanted to commemorate the death of my son, and this is a knife I kept because it actually has 2012 on it when he died, sadly. But I didn't have, I could never get a cover to go with this that I liked. I'm going to give you and then this came along, and it is like a match made in heaven. It is perfect. That's a big Queen City knife, and it just, the full thing. I don't know. Sometimes things are just sent to you, and people might not have a significance to them, and then they hit you, and you're going, wow, I've been looking for that the whole way. Genuinely, and it's just such a joy to have them together. So again, the package from Joe was unforgettable, shall we say. It was just an amazing package, so I loved it. Absolutely.
Well, that's a really special knife there, Paddy, and
yeah.
I'm really honored that you're putting it in my slip.
Oh, absolutely. It really was a nice thing. Joe, can I just interrupt you? I know you like I don't know how long we've been going even now. How long have we been going?
Just over an hour.
Wow, God, that's disappeared. This is a young fella here in the UK who I don't know whether you've ever heard of him. I done a review on him, and it's I need to get my reading glasses on. So bad with it. It's the initials. I don't want to get them wrong. It's MJ Hoods. And this young fella makes slips that are of the highest quality and the highest quality leather about. Oh gosh, this light's not going. Let me turn this light up a wee bit and see if I can get a bit more of a. He makes sheaths of the highest quality. This is for large Barlows. In fact, I'm telling you, yeah, this is for a large Barlow, and this is for the large knife that Ashley made for him. I just showed you the big spade blade one, and he actually makes them with or without clips. Now, I put this clip in my belt, not in my pocket, because I keep that big spade blade outside. It's so big. I just like to have it at hand. And it's beautiful. Really, really beautiful. He also does them in just a plain slip. There's nothing, these are not sort of a new thing, but the quality of his making and his stitching is just phenomenal. And this is hard, supple leather because they're made for when you put your knife into it. It's one of the pinch knives. You just pinch it and it drops out. So it's meant to be a hard leather for that specific reason that you do pinch it and it pops out. I love that. But he makes them incredibly reasonable prices. But his full-time job is he makes hoods for birds of prey. You know the leather hoods they put over hawks and eagles when they want them to be quiet? They just put the hood over their head. And amazing. If you ever go onto his website or his Instagram page, MJ Hoods, I'll put it down below in the description, and see some of the hoods he makes. They are the most beautiful pieces of art you'll ever see. Amazing. But he also does
his stuff looks great. I mean, I know what it takes to get finishes. I can't get finishes like that. I can't get exact cuts like that. It takes a lot of work and a lot of steady hands, and that's really good work, I can tell.
I'll have to say I adore his slips. I think they're fantastic. Especially, I love a big Barlow, like my Ashley Barlow is a large one, and it just sits beautifully in it. And that little pinch is just so handy to get it out. Love them. So go over and see him if you can. And just to see, even if you don't want to buy a slip, go over and see his work on the bird hoods. It's amazing. And I'm not exaggerating. It's just phenomenal. Right, Joe, give us another knife.
All right. So I got two more I can talk about. I'm going to go with one a little bit. Do we have time for two more knives, or how long do you want to go here?
A quick two or a long one?
I'll just go with one then. I'll show my sport messer. I'll show my Zebu horn.
Oh yes, please, yes, please.
I talk about it a lot.
Yeah, I remember you getting this actually.
Yeah, it's my favorite sport messer. The sport messer has been an obsession of mine for years. I have several. Um,
That is just
they're getting harder and harder to find. More and more people are starting to collect them.
collect them. Yeah.
I used to be able to find them at the flea market for around €2. I mean, if I found a good one in good condition, good working condition, I might pay 15. But those days are long gone.
Oh
And
yeah.
this one is it's an exclusive to a German company called Manufactum. It's a big box store. They sell lots of different stuff, but it tends to be all kind of higher quality, sometimes handmade type of products. It's a very expensive store, and in that store they have a little section with pocket knives.
That
And
is
that store has a deal with Boker where they get these zebu horn sport. Zebu is just a type of cattle. I believe it's from Southeast Asia. But the way Boker dyes them, well, I don't even know if they dye them. It's just a bluish grayish hue. That's not dye. That's just the color of the bone. I'm
yeah.
misspeaking.
Yeah.
just the color of the horn. I can't talk right now. But very
Yeah.
very
And to get two sides that are so well marked is just so difficult sometimes.
yeah.
They are
I've helped.
both
Yeah, I've
both
helped a
sides.
few people get their own
Uh-huh.
zebu horn
Beautiful.
sportmaster. But yeah, so of a pattern that I collect, again, German pattern. Boker claims they've been making this knife since 1869.
Yeah.
That's come into question in the past
Yeah, it
few
has
years.
that.
That they can prove that they've made it since the 1930s.
Uh-huh.
But just a classic German
Yeah.
pattern. I can show you a couple more.
I absolutely love looking at them, and I think they're absolutely beautiful looking, but it's not a knife I've ever had, or it's not one that I've wanted to collect. But sort of when you see that horn again there, that just really gets me.
Yeah, I'm trying to find one in particular. I don't know. Here's an old one. Here's from World War II, dyed bone. It's kind of
Lovely.
this one's really rough. When it comes to sport messers, I have lots of broken sport messers. I collected them if it was historically significant, if it had a shield or a tang stamp or something
Uh-huh.
to it that made it interesting. It didn't matter how busted the knife was. I bought it, and
What? Yeah.
I have a lot of sport messers in this kind of condition.
Have you ever thought of getting some of your old ones hobbled together to make a, a full one out of them?
I have a shadow patterned, an oak shadow pattern from the 30s that's basically in pieces.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't have enough good pieces to make one good knife out of. I've toyed with the idea of taking two knives and kind of
That's
making
what I
that
meant. Yeah,
that
just
that
putting them
oak
together.
shadow pattern live again, but I have not done it until this
Right.
point. I have a couple other Boker, not the humpback pattern of the Sportmaster, but just the equal end version. That I
Yeah.
have two of them, and one's got broken springs and great blades, and one's got busted blades and good springs.
I
So
if we
I was thinking I could put two of them together, but I should show you guys a size comparison. These are 91 millimeter, so you're looking at same size as your
so
standard
sorry.
Victorinox, but the humpback, they call it the humpback. You can see where it gets its shape. So it's not the equal end. And this is just for grip. When you're holding the knife, you can put your thumb there when the blade is fully opened and you get a better grip. Boker puts the bail up top. Some of the other German makers throughout history have put the bail on the bottom. I prefer it on the bottom. But let me show you guys the slip that comes with the Boker. It's one of my favorite slips. Very innovative. So here's the slip for the Sportmaster, and this is how they deal with the bail. So it goes in through the bottom,
Oh, how clever.
and the bail pokes out through the top. And then additionally to that, you can put a chain on
Yeah.
it
Oh, love it. Absolutely love it.
and hook it to your belt. So very classic knife. I love the zebu horn.
Oh, the zebu horn. I mean, if people go and watch your video on it, they'll get a better look at it. It's
Yeah,
just beautiful.
yeah,
Beautiful. It's
really
funny.
fantastic color.
I'll just go in. I'm not going to talk about this, but here's a Joseph Rogers, and it's in horn. It's just a very basic little spear point, but this is the one side of it. You can see the horn there, the bark of the horn, a wee bit of it's still there. But look at this side.
Oh, it's
Again,
great.
it's just so fine here. You're probably not seeing it, but I mean, this is one of my best little users. I adore this knife. Simple little knife. But you see, if he could have got the both sides with that pattern on it, it would have been a dream. It sort of kills it when you turn it over. That's why your Zebo horn is so good on both sides. It's very rare to get.
Yeah, it's a little lighter on the
Yeah,
show
but
side, but
the patterns there.
it's very like a smoky, kind of hypnotic look to it. It's a
I just
fantastic
love it. Yeah, if there's any
knife.
more
So
of them
yeah,
you want to show,
I'm sorry.
if there's any more of them you want to show, if you want to do a quick one, I'm all right for time. If people are okay.
I just show one kind of quirky one.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a little project that's been occupying my time this past week. There exists a knife in Germany that you can buy at any grocery store, and it costs €1. And I've looked at these knives every time I go to the store. I've had several throughout my stay here, and I really like it. And I wanted to see if it could actually, do some daily tasks. So let me just show you the knife. This is the German €1 knife. It is made in Germany, made in Solingen. I don't know if I can see it. It says Solingen on the handle, as well as Solingen on the blade, and just a really cool blade shape. I don't know if that's a Warncliffe or a sheep's foot, but yeah, just a disposable knife. And what I've been working on is I made a sheath for one.
I just think that is flipping sexy. That is sexy.
And I've been keeping this in my back pocket, and when there's a box to be ripped open or something at work, I reach back and I grab this, and I've been testing it out. I have sharpened the steel. I was a little bit worried that the steel would be so cheap that it wouldn't be sharpenable, but I did manage to sharpen and get it razor sharp. So yeah, it's just something I'm having fun with. I have another one. This is the first one. This is just another little slip joint slip that I had made that I just repurposed. I put this one in here. I wet formed it in there, and I made this little lanyard. So yeah, I've been having fun with it. I'd be interested to see what you guys think about it.
I think if you took orders for that, you would fill up in days. It is just a classic little dollar knife and a beautiful slip. And the slip
I can say, buy my slip, I'll send you the knife for free.
Yeah, what a great advert. Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I think it's cooler for me because I live in Germany, and like I said, these are cheap knives. They're very thin and very flimsy, and I think the actual steel only goes to about right there. So it's cooler for me because if I do end up breaking it, I can just go to the store and buy another one for €1, and I already have the sheath.
I mean, if you're a trout fisherman, a brown trout in the rivers, that's a perfect knife for a wee pound trout.
Yeah, they're extremely slicey. My biggest problem with them is how thin they are, and I don't know if they're going to hold up to any real hard work. But I have ripped open boxes with them, and I've done some plastic straps with them, and so far so good.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Well, I'm just going to show you this before I go, Joe, because I didn't get time to talk about it because I was much more interested in yours. This is my new custom. This is from Xingqian. This bone is honestly, it's like a mock-up. It's just the most beautiful color. It's not going to come across here, but it's all hand jigged. Look at the other side as well. They're not the same, but that's the joy of getting a custom knife where you don't get the bad on one side. You get,
what country is it made from with a name like that?
Say that again.
What country is it made in?
UK. He's made in the UK. Lives in the UK. He's been a custom knife maker for about 15 years full time. He got made redundant from one of his jobs and decided to give it a go. And 15 years later, he's still making knives. And if you go and check his website, he makes so many different shapes, sizes that other people are not sort of making. He's not frightened to push the boat out and try something new. But this came up.
You got a great looking knife there.
This is beautiful.
That bone
Absolutely.
is
The
insane.
workmanship is stunning. Really beautiful. Lovely, lovely drop point. I just adore that.
That swedge looks great.
Oh, it just makes it. And it's hand rubbed satin finish, which is so fine. It is beautiful. And it's in Magna Cut. Go figure. Who
Okay.
needs Magna
Yeah.
Cut on a who needs Magna Cut on a small penknife? But I've got it. I just
And what's a knife like that cost, Patty?
about 270.
That's a
That,
custom handmade
yeah,
knife with Magna Cut for 270. And like I said, I saw stuff at the knife show with 1095 for 300.
yeah. I'm over the moon with it. I'm over the moon with the fit and finish. That beautiful in hand. I can get all four fingers on it. Has that nice swell end, and it's not particularly thin either. But it's just a really nice pen knife
Does
that's
he
got a
take custom orders,
Yes,
or
he
does he
does.
just
Yeah.
have like a selection?
No, his books are actually open at the minute. He sold a stack off there on one of the websites. His books are open, and he's coming on the show on Thursday night, Joe. It'd be worth you
Okay.
watching, I think, to see.
I'll pop
I
on and watch.
I've never had one of that's the first knife I've had. I've heard of them for years, but I've never had a pattern that I've seen the like until this came up. And he put, I think it was about 4 of these he made, and they went bang, gone. I was thankfully got this one. That's the one I wanted. So more than happy.
Looks great. You got a great
So
knife there.
look, thank you so much to everybody in the talk box there. I'm terrible at getting your questions up, and I really apologize. I blame Justin. I begged him to come on. Well, not really, but it's Justin's fault anyway. Joe, I have had the utmost pleasure talking to you. It's been great to see
It
you
was
on the
fun,
box.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just something for you especially. You've got such a lovely collection. Please, let's do it again. Let's not make it too long before we do it again. But I've honestly,
Yeah.
fantastic night. Really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed Joe. Please go and see his channel. That's it on the board there. MesserHQ. Just go there. He's got a backlog there that will keep you going for days, if not weeks or months. So there we go.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. It was a lot of fun, Stephen. I had a blast. Definitely, let's do it again.
Just real chilled out chat, and we had people sort of watching because I wouldn't answer anything they were saying. But love you all, and I'll see you on Thursday night with Xing Chan. Take care. Stand back. Joe, don't run away there. You stay there.
Oh.
I'll close this rabble out. Where
Yeah.
am I? Just going that right. End stream. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
End stream.